Hey folks, welcome to another battle report. It's Dragon Rampant. This is our first game of the second edition, and we're just going to have a quick playthrough. Only one mistake was made in our first two games, and that was, one major mistake, and that was giving a +1 to all activation rolls with units within 12 inches of the leader. That was something I had from the commander in Xenos Rampant, but actually in Dragon Rampant, your leader gives you the bonus of having +1 courage if you're within 12 inches of the leader model, and also allows one reroll per turn, which comes in handy quite a lot. Alright guys, let's have a quick look at the list and see what I put together. Now I took my army list straight out from the back of the book under their Lizardmen listing, and this we start with my leader, who is a heavy foot and offensive. And I have another offensive heavy foot. These are my light offensive foot, and as you can see, these are starting with the 12 it's strength points they're made of, so effectively 12 wounds, so 1 wound per model on each of these. And I have two of these wonderful little chaps, which I'm counting as I just looked to my book, I think they counted them as scouts. Scouts and amphibious, which I thought was pretty appropriate for these chaps. And finally, with my final point I had left over, they're not in the list, but I made a unit of Ravenous. So these four bases are a reduced model unit, points of 12, just as the others. So effectively they got 3 wounds each. So this is a setup for the first game. We're just playing the bloodbath on the gory bloodbath on the Plains of Doom, which is scenario 1, which is the basic kind of fight each other, score points for what you destroy style game. As you can see, the armies are set up. There's quite a lot of gap between them, because in this game you have to keep a minimum of 3 inches apart from one another. It's one of those rules that I've never been too much of a fan on, basically because we're only playing 24 points here, so they're now boosting it up to, I think, 30 being the average game, so you're going to get more models in, and I've nearly filled my side of the board with items anyway, so if you're starting to get to 30 points and you want more stuff, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze to fit in. Though they do now mention in this book there is an optional rule to play with 1 inch, but for the first 3 games we've left it as the book and kept it with a 3 inch to see how it goes. So on my opponent's left hand flank, he has 2 units of heavy offensive foot. His centre then has a heavy horse, I believe, then light missile, and then another heavy horse the other side. On my left hand flank I have my light foot and my scout. Then towards the centre I also have my leader in his heavy foot, my other scout and my other heavy foot. Now I put my leader in between my 2 scouts because they have the ability to move and shoot as a single action, but you need a 7 or more on 2 dice, so it's a bit of a stretch to get it, and of course you get the 1 reroll. If you fail a die roll on one of your activations, that ends your turn and it moves to the other player's turn again. So you want to try and get all the ones that you can easily do first, and then do the more difficult ones later. So my leader there is just to get these guys to move and shoot just that little bit easier. And finally, on my far flank I have my Ravenous Horde, which with only 1 armour, so basically in this game each unit that is above half strength rolls 12 dice, depending on their attack stat. You need to roll a hit. Most of the time it's like 4s and 5s. And then you have an armor value for the unit you're striking. So my heavy foot is an armor value of 3, so for every 3 hits you do 1 wound to the unit. Now unfortunately this Ravenous Horde has the armor of 1, so for every wound they get, every time they get hit, they'll be taking a wound, so they should drop quite quickly. So I've just put them out here just to maybe hold something up, because also their attack and defense value stat is pretty low at a 6/6, so I'm hitting on 6s in combat, either if I'm attacking or defending. So my opponent was the attacker and went to go first and activated his units quite well. I think it was just his main guys that didn't get to move up, and that really wasn't because he didn't activate them, it's because of the 3 inch gap. He really didn't have anywhere he wanted to move to at the moment as he was crossing his frontage with the horse. As I say, we're going to activate a bit more often than would probably be likely in a normal game, due to the fact we're giving ourselves this bonus from our leader, but other than that it all plays pretty much exactly the same. So again, in my turn I activated quite well as well, and pretty much everything got to move up. Everything in this, so your heavy foot is moving 6 inches a turn, And I think if I remember correctly, the activation roll is a 5 up. So on 2 dice I need to roll a 5 and more to be able to activate the unit for a move action, allowing them to move 6. My scouts and my Lightfoot are 8 inches, while my Ravenous Horse are also 6 inches. Now at the moment it's pretty easy. I can tell which turn we're on. We're on opponent's second turn, but I think later on as the game gets on, because sometimes you don't activate anything, turns can change quite quickly, and it's pretty much whatever you're activating as you can. So he just moves up with his cavalry and his infantry once again, pushing around to my flank to take on my heavy foot and my horde, while on the other flank his horse and that pushes up and pushes towards my light infantry and my other scout. Just trying to remember all the phrases here. So heavy horse in this will move 10 inches when they activate. So in my turn I push up my scouts with a skirmish maneuver, which basically on a 7+ I get to move and shoot with them. I get to move half speed and shoot with a -1. So this guy will be knocking out 12 shots, hitting on 6s, and as you see I managed to get 1 casualty, which means I rolled at least 3 6s on that die roll, which of course is slightly above average, so I'm happy with that. As you can see, that's how I've moved up. My leader tries to stay between the 2 scouts to try and make sure that 7 up is more likely to pass with a reroll. Unfortunately I did push him forward out of the range of my heavy foot, which activates on a 5 up for a move, but failed, ending my go and leaving them back there. So my opponent just moves up again on his flank. He's trying to push right round my shooting scouts, not wanting to take any more damage to his cavalry. The miniatures you're looking at the moment are the plastics from Oathmark. They're kind of fantasy dark age humans. Really nice models. I'm super waiting for them to do the plastic skeleton cavalry. That's what I'm really waiting for. I have a bunch of their skeletons and really like them. Well, to the centre and his right flank he just moves up, as you can see. He can't actually shoot at my scout at the moment with his light missile, due to the fact that you can only shoot at scouts if you're within 12, due to them taking cover and hiding. So that's great with me, because my range of my scouts is only 12, while the light missile actually gets a range of 18. So my turn, my scouts actually pushed up and managed to kill off another one. Yep, I managed to roll 3 6s again to damage these guys. Now every time you take a damage you have to take a courage check. On failure of doing so you end up having to become battered and retreating. So in this case the courage of these guys are 4+. So you roll 2 dice and take off how many casualties you have, in which case they have 2 casualties, so you have 2 off the roll. I think he rolled a 5, giving him a total of 3, so he's now become battered. If you're ever of a total of 0 or below, you actually just remove from the table as your units have fled completely. So this is a nice little push for me, because that actually puts him out of combat for his next round, because in his next round he'll only be able to rally them and attempt to rally them, and that'll be his activation done, so it gives me a chance to move up. On the other side I'm trying my luck and trying to harass the other cavalry coming round, obviously out of range at the moment, and this is a pre-measure game so you can measure at any time during the game. So with my range of 12 and his charge of 10 I should be able to stay out of his range as long as I keep being able to move and shoot. Obviously as soon as I fail, not only will I lose my turn, it'll go straight under his, and yeah, they'll be stuck there. Sort of. The scouts do get a little bonus of being able to shoot and flee, so he might be able to get away that way, but you only move at half speed, so you could get close enough that I can't actually flee from him. So my opponent's turn actually moves up, as you can see, and starts pushing my scout, while his archers move up to shoot at my heavy foot. Heavy foot on armor 3, so just like the cavalry you're going to need to do 3 hits to be able to cause 1 wound, and because I'm over 12 inches away from him he's at -1 with his bow, and they hit on 5, so it was 6s and was unable to do any damage. But he's got his leader there and his heavy foot just to give that reroll of ease to keep them shooting if needs be. And on his left flank his infantry move up, and his heavy horse managed to rally, so they're no longer battered and will activate in his next turn just as normal. In my turn I don't think I actually risked having a shot with my scout. Instead I just chose to move backward, ready to shoot next turn if he fails an activation roll. I think he moves on a 5 up or shoots on a 7 up, so I played it safe there and made sure he got away. and I just move up with my heavy foot on the other side. Unfortunately, there's no kind of marching or anything here, so you can't, or run, can't double your pace or anything, so you just move at 6 inches. Obviously, it may be that you can activate quite a few times before someone else activates because of how the activation roll works, so for now I'm just pushing forward with my heavy foot. So in the centre, my opponent pushes up, and I'm kind of realising here why maybe not having your leader in a big unit of heavy foot instead of an elite could be a bit of a pain, because obviously I'm going to suffer more casualties in this unit, and eventually I'll be put below -6 or 7 to my die roll to try and keep them on the board. But for now I passed my test, obviously at -1 for my losses, and he pushes up with his infantry again to try and shoot at my my scouts. His foot and cavalry are both activated now on the other flank. As you can see, I'm trying to push up there just to try and... I want to charge my horde in just to do a bit of damage, maybe. Meaning 6s to hit. Might be pushing it a bit on those guys. But yeah, I'm just going to keep them there to push in and then use my heavy foot to drive them away later. He's also putting pressure on my other scout now with his infantry. Heavy infantry to move 6, so I have a chance to get away yet. Over the to my left hand side, I pull back again. I just move with my scouts just to try and get them out of the way, and push up my heavy foot just to put the pressure onto his cavalry. I was trying to sweep round with my light infantry, but unfortunately this turn they failed to activate. So as well as moving quite quick, the scouts have also got fleet, so they can move through terrain without being slowed down. So they move onto the pyramid there, knowing that the enemy forces around them are going to be halved while moving through difficult terrain. It seems like the scouts actually seem to get a lot of points, a lot of things they can do for their points, since they're only 3, but their range is only 12, and their activation to shoot and to move and shoot is a 7 up, which is quite a risk. And not only that, they are 6 strength points, which means they can only take 6 hits before they're destroyed. Now I was hoping for a sneaky charge here, but unfortunately these guys let me down, ending my turn and being unable to charge the heavy horse. So again, some more archery comes in on the centre and manages to get another one of my heavy foot with my leader in. Thankfully I managed to withstand the courage check that was required, so I didn't become battered, because another downside with battered units, they only hit on 6s when it comes to combat. So he comes in with his heavy cavalry hitting on 4-ups, and my defensive value on my heavy foot is also a 4-up, so we're both hitting on 4-ups. We both have 12 dice and we're both armor 3, so on this one it was down to the dice rolls. As it was, we both took some damage, we both failed our courage tests, so we are now both battered. On the other flank, he rode in with his heavy cavalry. It's kind of funny because unfortunately this time we both again rolled 12 dice. I'm hitting on 6s and he's hitting on 4s. My armor is 1, his armor is 3. I managed to get 3 6s, so I managed to kill off one of his, and he only managed to get 3 wounds and killing off one of my bases, though we both did fail our courage tests and we're both now battered. In the following turn, I had managed to rally my horde, and unfortunately my opponent didn't manage to rally his cavalry. And luck changed on the other side, where he came in with his infantry against mine. Again, we're both even, both hitting on 4s, both got 12 dice each, and both, I think we did a casualty on each, but unfortunately I failed my courage check, which now puts him in the battered condition. So on the other side, he also managed to fail to rally his heavy horse. I managed to unbatter mine. Why do I keep saying that? Rally mine and moved it. He had also moved up his troops and took a few more shots at my leader, and that's how we're looking. I finally managed to sneak around the corner with these guys. Most of the game these guys have been the last thing to move, so they either hadn't had a chance to activate, or when I did try to activate them they failed. So they have now a squishy target in front of them if he fails to move off. Now on the other side, the what they called heavy horse that failed to rally fled again and actually moved off enough in the meantime to move off the board. In the centre, the shooting is starting to counter up on my leader, who has lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've lost 4 guys, so I'm rolling a 2d6 with a -4 each time to stay in. Obviously rolling a 4 or less will mean they're removed from the table, and a 8 to a 5 to 8 will mean they are battered. So I'm hanging in there just at the moment. This is how the table's looking at the moment. My scouts are just trying to pepper shots now into his leader to try and get a few casualties on them to get them to break as quick as I can, as my leader is probably not going to be able to take a fight too easily against them in a minute. Once you're down to half your strength points or less, you actually half the amount of dice. So trying to hit an armor, just give me a second to do the math, armor 3 unit with only 6 dice, hopefully hitting on 4s. Yeah, pretty 50-50 to get 1 wound through, so it's a bit of a risk there. My opponent, who managed to finally rally his horsemen, got gobbed on by my scouts, and I actually managed to get another casualty through there. So rolling just slightly above average on these guys, though I don't think I had to move on this one. I did get them in range before, so I was hitting on 5, so it's probably about an average dice roll. So with the opening there and reduced to just 2 knights, I decided to go in with my light infantry. Even so, I only managed to cause 1 wound. I fluffed my dice rolls hitting on 4s there, and managed for him not to break, and actually just retreated back to the woodland, as you can see there. Now unfortunately these guys can now be shot at quite easily, and with only armor 2 they can take casualties quite quickly. Fearing a bad dice roll, I've actually moved my leader around the corner there just so he can't get shot at by his archers, and the rest you can see I'm just prepping up to keep shooting at his leader. Yeah, my opponent managed to roll 6 5-ups on his die roll, which means I lose 3 guys here. So that's a -3 on my courage. I think they're courage 4 up, so I'd need a 7 or more for them to be absolutely fine, and 4 or more for them not to flee from the table. Both leaders are now facing off against each other. I think we're just in charge range now, if one of us can get a charge off to get the attack on. On the other side, my dice rolls don't go so well, and I managed to lose 2 of my heavy foot. And even though I did a few casualties on my opponent, who became battered after that, I actually completely failed my courage test and removed my heavy foot. On the other side, I am taking a terrible toll from the shooting from my light foot. I could have done with getting them out of the way, but didn't have the chance to do it. They fail the command check and retreat. And this is how we're looking overall. In this game, once you are reduced to one of the warbands only having 3 or less units, start rolling a dice, and if you roll more than the number of units that are remaining on the fewest, the game ends. So at the moment we are rolling, but yeah, I'm not in a great position. My ravening horde will probably be easily taken out by his heavy foot. We're pretty even Stevens in the middle with the leader. I just try and put some more damage on him from my shooting chaps if I can, and I really want to run away with my light foot at the top there, who are being shot to pieces. We did both clash in the bottom there with our leaders. It was a bit of a pucker time because I have lost 1, 2, 3, what have I got there, 7, 8 guys, so -5 to my die roll, so you know, a 5 or less I'm gone completely. My courage is 4, so 5 or less, 9 or more not to become battered. So obviously I become battered, he becomes battered also, so both our leaders are in a pretty sticky situation. So in the next couple of turns, which quite quickly, I managed to shoot off his leader as I stopped drawing my leader back around the pyramid to keep him out of line of sight of the archers, and the archers cause my light foot of skinks on the top side there to unfortunately break as well and remove from the table. As you can see, we're down to 2 units now, trying to end the game. And the game did end, so we just had the 1 more round. I tried to push up and shoot with my scouts. I managed to batter the light missile troops, and the other guys down the bottom there just ran away from me to keep the score. So I actually managed to win this one. It was a good little game. We're getting our heads around it. It's not too bad once you get into it. I think you know what you're doing. My opponent is not new to wargaming, but pretty new, so he understood and got into how the game plays pretty quickly. This was pretty basic. As I say, it was just kill each other. You have optional quests, which I'm sure we'll be trying out a bit later, but we're just trying out the base rules at the moment and seeing how it goes. So our opponent after this will pick a new force to play around with, just so we can try out the different kind of unit types. I'm going to do the same thing as well, and we'll try different scenarios, see how it goes. So far so good. The only thing I'm questioning at the moment is that 3-inch barrier, because it does feel quite big when you've got a few unit types down on the table, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright, that was